Section 0 of the Marble Faun. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. Preface. To my mother. These are primarily the poems of youth and a simple heart. They are the poems of a mind that reacts directly to sunlight and trees and skies and blue hills, reacts without evasion or self-consciousness. They're drenched in sunlight and color, as is the land in which they were written, the land which gave birth and sustenance to their author. He has roots in this soil as surely and inevitably as has a tree. They are the poems of youth. One has to be at a certain age to write poems like these. They belong inevitably to that period of uncertainty and illusion. They are as youthful as cool spring grass. They also have the defects of youth's impatience, unsophistication, and immaturity. They have youth's sheer joy at being alive in the sun, and youth's sudden, vague, unreasoned sadness over nothing at all. It is seldom that much can be truthfully said for a first book, beyond that it shows promise, and I think these poems show promise. They have an unusual feeling for words, and the music of words, a love of soft vowels, an instinct for color and rhythm, and at times a hint of coming muscularity of wrist and eye. The author of these poems is a man steeped in the soil of his native land, a Southerner by every instinct, and more than that, a Mississippian. George Moore said that all universal art became great by first being provincial, and the sunlight and mockingbirds and blue hills of North Mississippi are a part of this young man's very being. He is a man of varied outdoor experience, of wide reading, of quick humor, of the usual Southern alertness and flexibility of imagination, deeply schooled in the poets and their technical trials and accomplishments, and above all, of rigid self-honesty. It is inevitable that this book should bear traces of other poets. Probably all well-informed people have by this time learned that a poet does not spring full-fledged from the brow of Jove. He does have to be born with the native impulse, but he learns his trade from other poets by apprenticeship, just as a lawyer or a carpenter or a bricklayer learns his. It is inevitable that traces of apprenticeship should appear in a first book, but a man who has real talent will grow, will leave these things behind, will finally bring forth a flower that could have grown in no garden but his own. All that is needed, granted the original talent, is work and unflinching honesty. On one of our long walks through the hills I remarked that I thought the main trouble with Amy Lowell and her gang of drum beaters was their eternal damned self-consciousness, that they always had one eye on the ball and the other eye on the grandstand, to which the author of these poems replied that his personal trouble as a poet seemed to be that he had one eye on the ball and the other eye on Babe Ruth. Surely there must be possibilities inherent in a mind so shrewdly and humorously honest. Phil Stone, Oxford, Mississippi, September 23, 1924. End of section 0. Read by Czandra, near Montreal, 2024. Section 1 of the Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Marble Faun, Prologue. The poplar trees sway to and fro, that through this grey old garden go, like slender girls with nodding heads, whispering above the beds of tall tufted hollyhocks, of purple asters, and of phlox, caught in the daisy's dreaming gold. Recklessly scattered wealth untold about their slender graceful feet, like poised dancers, lithe and fleet. The candled flames of roses here gutter gold in this still air, and clouds glide down the western sky to watch this sun-drenched reverie, while the poplars' shining crests lightly brush their silvered breasts, dreaming not of winter snows that soon will shake their maiden rose. The days dream by, golden white, about the fountain's silver light that lifts and shivers in the breeze, gracefully slim as are the trees, then shakes down its glistered hair upon the still pool's mirrored, fair, flecked face. Why am I sad? Why am I not content? The sky warms me, and yet I cannot break my marble bonds. That quick, keen snake is free to come and go, while I am prisoner to dream and sigh for things I know yet cannot know, twixt sky above and earth below. The spreading earth calls to my feet, of orchards bright with fruits to eat, of hills and streams on either hand, asleep at night on moon-blanched sand. The whole world breathes and calls to me, who marble-bound must ever be. End of section 1, read by Czandra. Section 2 of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. If I were free, then I would go where the first chill spring winds blow, wrapping a light, shocked mountain's brow with shrilling tongues, and swirling now and fiery, upward flaming, leap from craggy teeth above each deep, cold and wet with silence. Here I fly before the streaming year along the fierce, cold mountain tops, to which the sky runs down and stops, and with the old moon watching me, leaping and shouting joyously along each crouching dark abyss, through which waters rush and hiss, I whirl the echoes west and east, to hover each copse where lurks the beast. Silence, still they shatter back across the ravine's smoky crack. Here Pan's sharp hoofed feet have pressed his message on the chilly crest, saying, follow where I lead, for all the world springs to my reed, woven up and woven down, thrilling all the sky and ground with shivering heat and quivering cold, to pierce and burst the swollen mould, shrilling in each waiting break, come, ye living, stir and wake, as the tumbling sunlight falls, spouting down the craggy walls to hiss upon the frozen rocks that dot the hills in crouching flocks. So I plunge in some deep vale where first violets, shy and pale, appear, and spring, with tear-stained cheeks, peeps at me from the neighbouring brakes, gathering her torn draperies up for flight if I cast my eyes up. Swallows dart and skimming fly like arrows painted on the sky, and the twanging of the string is the faint, high, quick crying that they, downward shooting, spin through the soundless, swelling din. Dogwood shines through thin trees there like jewels in a woman's hair. A sudden brook hurries along, singing its reverted song, flashing in white frothed shocks about upstanding polished rocks. Slender shoots draw sharp and clear, and white withes shake as though in fear upon the quick stream's melted snow that seems to dance rather than flow. Then on every hand awakes from the dim and silent breaks the breathing of the growing things, the living silence of all springs to come and that have gone before. And upon a woodland floor I watch the sylvans dance till dawn, while the brooding spring looks on. The spring is quick with child and sad, and in her dampened hair sits clad, watching the immortal dance to the world's throbbing dissonance that Pan's watchful shrill pipes blow of the fiery days that go like wine across the world. Then high his pipes weave magic on the sky, shrill with joy and pain of birth of another spring on earth. Hark! A sound comes from the brake, and I glide nearer like a snake to peer into its leafy deeps, where like a child the spring still sleeps upon a chill rock, grey and old, where the willow's simple fold falls, an unstirred curtain. Pan, as he sat since the world began, stays and broods upon the scene beside a hushed pool, where lean his own face and the bending sky in shivering, soundless amity. Pan sighs, and raises to his lips his pipes, down which his fingertips wander lovingly. Then, low and clearly simple, does he blow a single, thin, clear melody that pauses, spreading liquidly, while the world stands sharp and mute, waiting for his magic flute. A sudden strain, silver and shrill, as narrow water down a hill, splashes, rippling as though drawn in shattered quicksilver on the willow curtain, and through which it wanders without halt or hitch into silent meadows, when it pauses, breathing, and again climbs as though to reach the sky, like the soaring silver cry of some bird. A note picks out a silver moth that whirs about a single rose, then settles low on the sorrowful who go along a willowed green-stained pool to lie and sleep within its cool virginity. Ah, the world about which mankind's dreams are furled like a cocoon, thin and cold, and yet that is never old. Earth's heart burns with winter snows, as fond and tremulous Pan blows for other springs, and cold and sad as this, and sitting garment-clad in sadness with dry, stricken eyes bent to the unchanging skies, Pan sighs, and broods upon the scene beside this hushed pool, where lean his own face and the bending sky in shivering, soundless amity. End of section 2, read by Czandra. Section 3 of the Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. All the air is grey with rain, above the shaken fields of grain. Cherry orchards, moveless, drip, listening to their blossoms slip quietly from wet black boughs. There a soaking, broad-thatched house steams contemplatively. I sit beneath the weeping sky, crouched about the mountain's rim, drawing her loose hair over them. My eyes, peace-filled by falling rain, brood upon the steamy plain, crouched beneath a dripping tree, where strong and damp rise up to me the odours of the bursting mould upon the earth's slow-breathing old breast, of acorns swelling tight to thrust green shoots into the light, as shade for me in years to come, when my eyes grow dim and I am dumb with sun-soaked age and lack of strength, of things that have lived out the length of life, and when the nameless pain to fuller live and know again no more will send me over earth, puzzling about the worth of this and that, nor crying hence at my unseeking impotence to have about my eyes close furled all the beauty in the world, but content to watch by day the dancing light's unthinking play ruffling the pool. Then I'll be beneath the roses, sleepily soaking in the sun-drenched air, without wish or will or care, with my softened, fading eyes shackled to the curving skies. The poplars look beyond the wall with bending hair, and to me call, curving, shivering hands to me, whispering what they can see of a dim and silent way through a valley white with May. On either hand gossiping beeches stir against the lilac reaches, half of earth and half of sky. There the aspens quakingly gather in excited bands, the dappled birches' fluttering hands cast their swift and silver light through the glade spun greenish white. So alone I follow on, where, slowly piping, Pan has gone to draw the quiet browsing flocks, while a blackbird calls and knocks at noon across the dusty downs in quivering peace, until Pan sounds his piping gently to the bird, and saving this, no sound is heard. Now the blackbird's gold-wired throats spill their long, cool, mellow notes in solemn flocks, slowly wheeling intricately, without revealing their desires, as on blue space they thread and cross, like folds of lace woven black, then shrilling go like shutters, swinging to and fro. On the downs, beyond the trees, loved by the thrilling breeze, while the blackbird calls and knocks, go the shepherds with their flocks. It is noon, and the air is shimmering still, for nowhere is there a sound. The sky, half waked, half asleep, is calm, for peace is laked between the world rims far spread dikes and the trees, from which there strikes the flute notes that I, listening, hear liquidly falling on my ear. End of section 3, read by Czandra, near Montreal, 2024. Section 4 of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Come quietly, fawn, to my call. Come, come, the noon will cool and pass that now lies edgelessly in thrall upon the ripened, sun-stilled grass. There is no sound in all the land, there's no breath in all the skies. Here warmth and peace go hand in hand, 'neath silence's inverted eyes. My call, spreading endlessly, my mellow call pulses and knocks. Come, fawn, and solemnly float shoulderward your autumned locks. Let your fingers languorous slightly curl, palm upward rest. The silent noon waits over us, the feathers stir not on his breast. There is no sound, nor shrill of pipe, your feet are noiseless on the ground. The earth is full and stillily ripe. In all the land there is no sound. There is a great God who sees all, and in my throat bestows this boon, to ripple the silence with my call when the world sleeps and it is noon. When I hear the blackbird's song piercing cool and mellowly long, I pause to hear, nor do I breathe as the dusty gorse and heath breathe not, for their magic call holds all the pausing earth in thrall at noon. Then I know the skies move not, but halt in reveries of golden veiled and misty blue. Then the blackbirds wheeling through, by Pan guarded in the skies, piercing the earth with remorseless eyes, are burned scraps of paper cast on a lake, quiet, deep, and vast. Upon a wood's dim shaded edge stands a dusty hawthorn hedge, beside a road from which I pass to cool my feet in deep, rich grass. I pause to listen to the song of a brook spilling along behind a patchy willow screen, whose lazy evening shadows lean their scattered gold upon a glade through which the staring daisies wade, and the resilient poplar trees, slowly turning in the breeze, flash their facets to the sun, swaying in slow unison. Here quietude folds a spell within a stilly shadowed dell, wherein I rest, and through the leaves the sun a soundless pattern weaves upon the floor. The leafy glade is pensive in the dappled shade, while the startled sunlight drips from beech and alder fingertips, and birches springing suddenly erect, in silence, sleepily clinging to their slender limbs, whitening them as shadow dims. As I lie here, my fancy goes to where a quiet oak bestows its shadow on a dreaming scene over which the broad boughs lean a canopy. The brook's a stream on which long still days lie and dream, and where the lusty summer walks around his head are lilac stalks. in the shade beneath the trees, to let the cool stream fold his knees, while I lie in the leafy shade until the nymphs troop down the glade. Their limbs that in the spring were white are now burnt golden by sunlight. They near the marge, and there they meet inverted selves stretched at their feet, and they kneel languorously there to comb and braid their short blown hair before they slip into the pool, warm gold in silver liquid cool. Evening turns, and sunlight falls in flecks between the leafed walls, like golden butterflies whose wings slowly pulse and beat. Slow sings the stream in a lower key, murmuring down quietly between its solemn purple stone with cooling ivy overgrown. Sunset stains the western sky. Night comes soon, and now I follow toward the evening star. A sheep bell tinkles faint and far, then drips in silence as the sheep move like clouds across the deep, still, dusky meadows wet with dew. I stretch and roll and draw through the fresh, sweet grass, and the air is softer than my own soft hair. I lift up my eyes. The green west is a lake on which has been cast a single lily. See, in meadows stretching over me are humming stars as thick as bees, and the reaching inky trees sweep the sky. I lie and hear the voices of the fecund year, while the dark grows dim and deep, and I glide into dreamless sleep. End of section 4, read by Czandra, near Montreal, 2024. Section 5 of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Cawing rooks in tangled flight come crowding home against the night, and all other wings are still except rooks tumbling down the hill of evening sky. The crimson falls upon the solemn ivied walls. The horns of sunset slowly sound between the waiting sky and ground. The cedars painted on the sky hide the sun, slow, flamingly repeated, level on the lake, smooth and still and without shake, until the swan's inverted grace wreathes in thought its placid face, with spreading lines like opening fans moved by white and languid hands. Now the vesper song of bells beneath the evening flows and swells, and the twilight's silver throat slowly repeats each resonant note. The dying day gives those who sorrow a boon no king can give, a morrow. The westering sun has climbed the wall, and silently we watch night fall, while sunset lingers in the trees, its subtle gold-shot tapestries. The sky is velvet overhead, where petalled stars are canopied like sequins in a spreading train without fold or break or stain. A cool wind whispers by the heads of flowers dreaming in their beds like convent girls, filling their sleep with strange dreams from the outer deep. On every hill battalioned trees march skyward on unmoving knees, and like a spider on a veil climbs the moon. A nightingale, lost in the trees against the sky, loudly repeats its jeweled cry. I'm sad, nor yet can I, for all my questing, reason why. And now as night falls I will go where two breezes joining flow above a stream, whose gleamless deeps caressingly sing the while it sleeps upon sands powdered by the moon. And there I'll lie to hear it croon in fondling a wayward star fallen from the shoreless far sky, while winds in misty stream, laughing and weeping in a dream, whisper of an orchard's trees that, shaken by the aimless breeze, let their blossoms fade and slip soberly, as lip to lip they touch the misty grasses, fanned to ripples by the breeze. Here stand the clustered lilacs, faint as cries against the silken-breasted skies. They nod and sway, and slow as rain, their slowly falling petals stain the grass as through them breezes stray, smoothing them in silver play. And we, the marbles in the glade, dreaming in the leafy shade, are saddened, for we know that all things save us must fade and fall, and the moon that sits there in the skies draws her hair across her eyes. She sees the blossoms blow and die soberly and quietly, till spring breaks in the waiting glade, and the first thin branched shade falls thwart them, and the swallow's cry calls down from the stirring sky, thin and cold and hot as flame, where spring is nothing but a name. The stream flows calmly without sound in the darkness gathered round, trembling to the vagrant breeze. About me stand the inky trees, peopled by some bird's loud cries, until it seems as if the skies had shaken down their blossomed stars, seeking among the trees' dim bars, crying aloud, each for its mate, about the old earth, insensate, seemingly, to their white woe. But their sorrow does she know, and her breast, unkempt and dim, throbs her sorrow out to them. The dying day gives all who sorrow the boon no king may give, a morrow. End of section 5, read by Czandra, near Montreal, end of 2024. Section 6 of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The ringed moon sits eerily like a mad woman in the sky, dropping flat hands to caress the far world's shaggy flanks and breast, plunging white hands in the glade, elbow deep in leafy shade where birds sleep in each silent break silverly, there to wake the quivering loud nightingales whose cries like scattered silver sails spread across the azure sea. Her hands also caress me, my keen heart also does she dare, while turning always through the skies, her white feet mirrored in my eyes weave a snare about my brain, unbreakable by surge or strain, for the moon is mad, for she is old, and many's the bead of a life she's told, and many the fair ones she's seen wither. They pass, and know not whither. The hushed earth, so calm, so old, dreams beneath its heath and wold, and heavy scent from thorny hedge paused, and snowy on the edge of some dark ravine, from where mists as soft and thick as hair float silver in the moon. Stars sweep down, or are they stars, against the pine's dark etched bars, along a brooding moon-wet hill. Dogwood shines so cool and still, like hands that palm up rigid lie in invocation to the sky, as they spread there, frozen white, upon the velvet of the night. The world is still. How still it is! About my avid stretching ears the earth is pulseless in the dim silence that flows into them and forms behind my eyes until my head is full. I feel it spill like water down my breast. The world, a muted violin where our curled pen's fingers, waits, supine and cold, and bound soundlessly in fold on fold of blind, calm rock, edgeless in the moonlight's shock, until the hand that grasps the bow descends. Then, grave and strong and low, it rises to his waiting ears. The music of all passing years flows over him, and down his breast of ice and gold, as in the west sunsets flame, and all dawns burn eastwardly, and calm skies turn always about his frozen head. Peace for living, peace for dead. And the hand that draws the bow stops not, as grave and strong and low about his cloudy head it curls the endless sorrow of all worlds, the while he bends dry, stricken eyes above the throngs. Perhaps he sighs for all the full world watching him, as seasons change from bright to dim. And my eyes, too, are cool with tears, for the stately marching years, for old earth, dumb and strong and sad, with life so willy-nilly clad, and mute and impotent like me, who marble-bound must ever be. And my carven eyes embrace the dark world's dumbly dreaming face, for my crooked limbs have pressed her all-wise, pain-softened breast, until my hungry heart is full of aching bliss unbearable. The hills are resonant with soft humming. It is a breeze that pauses, strumming on the golden wired stars, the deep, full music to which was the song of life through ages sung. And soundlessly there weaves among the chords a star, a falling rose, that only this high garden grows, a falling hand with beauty dumb-stricken by the hands that strum the sky, is gone. Yet still I see this hand swiftly and soundlessly sliding now across my eyes, as it then slid down the skies. Soft the breeze, a steady flame, cooled by the forest whence it came, slipping across the dappled lea to climb the dim walls of the sea, to comb the wave-pony's manes back, where the water shivers black with quiet depth and solitude, and licks the caverned sky. The wood stirs to a faint, far, mystic tone, the reed of Pan, who, all alone in some rock-chilled silver dell, thins the song of Philomel sad in her dark, dim, echoed bower, watching the far world bud and flower, watching the moon in ether stilled, who, with her broad face humped and hilled in sleep, dreams naked in the air, while Philomel dreams naked here. Clear and sad sounds Pan's thin strain, dims in mystery, grows again, mirrors the light limbs falling, dying, soothes night voices calling, crying, stills the wind's far-seeking tone, where fallow springs have died and grown, hushes the night bird's jeweled cries, and flames the shadow's subtleties through endless labyrinthine walls of sounding corridors and halls, where sound and silence soundless keep their slumbers noon, sweet be their sleep. End of section 6, read by Czandra. Section 7 of the Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. All day I run before a wind, keen and blue and without end, like a fox before the hounds, across the mellow sun-shot downs that smell like crisp and warm fresh bread, and the sky stretched overhead has drawn across its face a veil of gold and purple. My limbs fail, and I plunge panting down to rest upon earth's sharp and burning breast. I lie flat and feel its cold beating heart that's never old, and yet has felt the ages pass above its heather, trees and grass. The azure veils fall from the sky, and on the world's rim shimmering lie, while the blue leaf flashing sea pulses through infinitely. Up, away! Now I will go to some orchard's golden row of bursting mellow pears and sweet berries and dusky grapes to eat. I singing crush them to my lips, staining cheek and fingertips, then fill my hands, I know not why, and off again along the sky, down through the trees, beside the stream, veiled too, and golden as a dream, to lie once more in some warm glade, deep walled by the purple shade, my fruits beside, and so I lie in thin sun sifting from the sky like a cloak to cover me. I sink in sleep resistlessly, while the sun slides smoothly down the west, and green dusk closes round my glade that the sun filled up, as gold wine stands within a cup. Now silent autumn fires the trees to slow flame, and calmly sees the changing days burn down the skies, reflected in her quiet eyes, while about her as she kneels crouch the heavy fruited fields, along whose borders poplars run burnished by the waning sun. Vineyards struggle up the hill toward the sky, dusty and still, thick with heavy purple grapes and golden bursting fruits whose shapes are full and hot with sun. Here each slow exploding oak and beech blaze up about her dreaming knees, flickering at her draperies, each covert a blaze of light upon horizons bluish white is a torch. The pines are bronze and stiffly stretch their sculptured fronds over the depthless hushed ravine, wherein their shadows change to green, then to purple in the deeps where the waiting winter sleeps. The moon is mad and dimly burns, and with her prying fingers turns inside out thicket and copse curiously. And then she stops, staring about her, and the down grows sharp in sadness gathering round, powdering each darkling rock and the hunted grain in shock on shock in solemn rows. And after each a shadow goes, staring skyward, listening into the silence, glistening with watching stars that sharp and sad ring the solemn staring mad moon. And winds in monotone brood where shaken grain had grown in bloomless fields, that raise their bare breasts against the dying year. And yet I do not move, for I am sad beneath this autumn sky, for I am sudden blind and chill here beneath my frosty hill, and I cry moonward in stiff pain unheeded, for the moon again stares blandly, while beneath her eyes the silent world blazes and dies, and leaves slip down and cover me with sorrow and desire to be, while the world waits, cold and sere, like it, dead with the dying year. End of section 7. Read by Czandra. Section 8 of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The world stands without move or sound in this white silence gathered round it like a hood. It is so still that earth lies without wish or will to breathe. My garden, stark and white, sits soundless in the falling light of lifting bush and sudden hedge, icebound and ghostly on the edge of my world, curtained by the snow drifting, sifting, fast, now slow, falling endlessly from skies calm and grey, some far god's eyes. The soundless quiet flakes slide past like teardrops on a sheet of glass. Ah, there is some God above whose tears of pity, pain, and love slowly freeze and brimming slow upon my chilled and marbled woe. The pool, sealed now by ice and snow, is dreaming quietly below, within its jeweled eye, keeping the mirrored skies it knew in spring. How soft the snow upon my face, and delicate cold! I can find grace in its endless quiescence, for my enthralled impotence, solace from a pitying breast, bringing quietude and rest to dull my eyes, and sifting slow upon the waiting earth below, fold veil on veil of peacefulness, like wings to still and keep and bless. Why cannot we always be left steeped in this immensity of softly stirring, peaceful grey that follows on the dying day? Here I can drug my prisoned woe in the night wind's sigh and flow. But now we who would dream at night are awakened by the light of paper lanterns, in whose glow fantastically to and fro pass in a loud extravagance and reft of grace, yet called a dance, dancers in a blatant crowd to brass horns horrible and loud. The blaring beats on gustily from every side. Must I see always this unclean heated thing debauching the unarmed spring, while my back I cannot turn, nor may not shut these eyes that burn. The poplars shake and sway with fright uncontrollable. The night, powerless in ruthless grasp, lifts hidden hands as though to clasp in invocation for surcease the flying stars. Once there was peace, calm-handed where the roses blow, and hyacinths straight row on row, and hushed among the trees. What? Has my poor marble heart forgot this surging noise in dreams of peace that it once thought could never cease nor pale? Still, the blaring falls crashing between my garden walls gustily about my ears, and my eyes, uncooled by tears, are drawn as my stone heart is drawn, until the east bleeds in the dawn and the clean face of the day drives them slinkingly away. Days and nights into years weave a net to blind and to deceive me. Yet my full heart yearns as the world about me turns for things I know, yet cannot know, twixt sky above and earth below. All day I watch the sunlight spill inward, driving out the chill that night has laid here fold on fold between these walls, till they would hold no more. With half-closed eyes I see peace and quiet liquidly steeping the walls and cloaking them with warmth, and silence soaking them. They do not know, nor care to know, why evening waters sigh and flow, why about the pole star turn stars that flare and freeze and burn, nor why the seasons, springward wheeling, set the bells of living pealing. They sorrow not that they are dumb, for they would not a god become. I am sun-steeped, until I am all sun, and liquidly I leave my pedestal and flow quietly along each row, breathing in their fragrant breath and that of the earth beneath. Time may now unheeded pass. I am the life that warms the grass. Or does the earth warm me? I know not, nor do I care to know. I am with the flowers one. Now that is my bondage done, and in the earth I shall sleep, to never wake, to never weep for things I know, yet cannot know, twixt sky above and earth below. For Pan's understanding eyes quietly bless me from the skies, giving me, who knew his sorrow, the gift of sleep to be my morrow. End of section 8, read by Czandra, near Montreal, the end of 2024. Section 9 of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Epilogue. May walks in this garden, fair as a girl veiled in her hair and decked in tender green and gold. And yet my marble heart is cold within these walls, where people pass across the close-clipped emerald grass to stare at me with stupid eyes, or stand in noisy ecstasies before my marble, while the breeze that whispers in the shivering trees sings of quiet hill and plain, of vales where softly broods the rain, of orchards whose pink flaunted trees, gold flecked by myriad humming bees, enclose a roof thatch faded grey like a giant hive. Away to brilliant pines upon the sea, where waves linger silkenly upon the shelving sand, and sedge rustling grey along the edge of dunes that rise against the sky, where painted seagulls wheel and fly. Ah, how all this calls to me, who marble-bound must ever be, while turn unchangingly the years. My heart is full, yet sheds no tears to cool my burning carven eyes, bent to the unchanging skies. I would be sad with changing year, instead a sad bound prisoner, for though about me seasons go, My heart knows only winter snow. End of section 9. End of The Marble Faun by William Faulkner. Read near Montreal by Czandra at the end of 2024.